Dan, good morning.
Good morning.
I got to see a good friend of ours yesterday. I had coffee with Dr. David Nathan. If you remember
Oh, we
way
did a
back,
we did a
he was on
podcast with him.
the podcast
We did a podcast with
specifically
him.
for our listeners. If you want to go back and find that episode with him, he is on episode 12 in season 2 with us, talking about whether or not the poster was an asshole for telling their partner to take their ADHD medicine. So anyway, and I had coffee with him, and we found this lovely coffee house in Minneapolis. Oh, you would have loved the vibe. It was like in this really industrial kind of area, but had all of this outdoor seating, and they clearly had, kind of evening entertainment, little bonfires kind of around. And anyway, we were talking, and he has become such a fan of the show, and I just really appreciate his listenership. I don't think he fails to listen to an episode. And what he said to
Or
me
so
that
he
was
tells us.
so no, what was so endearing was he was saying how it gave him something to talk about and like wanted to further the conversation. And he talks with others about the topics that we bring up
Look
and,
at
and
that.
has additional conversations about it. So I just that warmed my heart. It was so deeply appreciated and always fun to get together with another psychologist. So
And I'll tell you, what better way to get another listener than to have someone on our show and make them a listener by having them be on the show. All we need to do now is get a few
our
hundred
plot
thousand listeners,
was
have a few 100,000 listeners to do episodes with us.
our plot was discovered. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Michael,
so
do
it
you have
was a wonderful,
something
beautiful morning.
that sounds lovely. Michael, do you have something interesting for us to talk about today?
Of
So
course.
that we can help Dr. Nathan with his next whatever thing
Conversation.
he's doing while he is listening to our podcast.
This is one that definitely caught my eye. So hopefully it'll resonate, and we'll see what other thoughts he has. But for any of the newbies out there, if you don't know what we're doing here, I've gone out on the internet and I found a scenario that I put before them, and I say, "Who's the asshole here?" And that's ultimately what we hope to determine, or at least get close to some kind of answer. I've tried to de-identify the post a bit, and if you're new, also stick around through the credits. We always have some kind of bonus conversation. Today, I have one to toss to them, so I do know what it is, unlike usual. But the post that we got today is, am I the asshole for booking my son an eye exam just to settle an argument?
Yes.
No, okay, probably, but
Probably.
here's the thing. You and I, Gail, both work in the forensic field in a previous lives, and every once in a while, there is this thing called a jury pardon, where the jury essentially says they're guilty, but we're going to find them not guilty anyway because we just find the circumstance of this such that even though they're guilty, we're going to vote not guilty. And I have to say, this could be a jury pardon situation where, yeah, you're being an asshole, but I'm willing to pardon it if the passive aggressiveness is applied in just the right way.
Wow, you've been in Minnesota a long time to sanction passive aggressiveness. No, this is likely an inexcusable, inappropriate use of medical resources and time. And if you're billing insurance, it's fraud.
Oh, all right. Well, all right, Michael, we've taken some pretty stark positions here.
Yeah,
Let's
I know.
Reel us in, Michael.
let's hear the actual story.
I successfully revved you up. All right, this is what we got. Poster says, I'm a 40-year-old dad, and I recently booked an appointment with an independent eye doctor for my son. He's under 10, because I need a neutral opinion to settle an ongoing issue. The school flagged that he might have vision problems, so I took him to get his eye tested. Scans, drops, the works. And sure enough, he came back with a negative 1.6 prescription. No drama, just got him
1.6.
glasses. What's
I've
that?
heard of 1.5. I didn't know they got that tight. 1.6. All right, my negative 1.6. All right,
Yeah.
mildly, yeah.
So the dad goes
Maybe
on
it's
and
a
says,
European measurement.
perhaps it's millimeters. So the dad goes on and says, I got him glasses just like I had with my older son, who also wears them. But ever since my mother-in-law, a former eye nurse, has been undermining the whole thing. She's constantly telling my son he doesn't need the glasses, and even finds a way to take them away from him when he's not looking, and hides them. The frustrating point, my partner is starting to follow suit. She's gotten lax about making sure he wears them too, and I can't help but feel there's some weird resentment over the fact that I just went ahead and took action. So now I'm at the point where I want to sit down with my partner and bring in a completely independent eye specialist to get a real answer in front of everybody without to remove all doubt. Is this an on again, off again glasses routine doing harm to him or not? I wore glasses most of my life. My prescription got as bad as negative 7.4 before I got surgery. And just want to make sure that our son doesn't needlessly struggle. I'm not trying to win a power struggle with my mother-in-law or anything, but I do
Yes, you
want
are.
what's best for
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
kids' health, even if it means having an awkward sit down. Am I overreacting here?
Yes.
No.
Okay. End of show. We've disagreed. No, I think that I we don't need a whole other independent fact finder here. That's not what this is about. I think the poster has correctly, however, identified the issues of this mixed message for this child. We need to create a consistent message for the child that is best in the interest of the child. You have hired a doctor, presumably, that you trusted. It sounds like if the other parent, which I'm hoping now this person is a parent and not a partner that is parenting, if that makes sense, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
dad is with another partner and now that partner's undermining, that's real dickish. But
Yeah.
let's say, because I don't know that it's super clear here, that the partner is also the child's other parent.
We'll
It is
make that assumption.
yeah.
Unless Michael knows otherwise. He doesn't.
Okay. He shook his head. It would make sense then to say, hey, other parent, you have questions or concerns about our son's diagnosis. It is best if you consult with the eye doctor that provided this prescription and have those questions answered and return to the original eye doctor. We don't need an independent whatever, because that's just doubling down on this argument in this passive aggressive way. I find that piece of it to be very icky. And certainly this mother-in-law, no third party minor character for her. Like, that's just shitty. As a parent who did not realize that their child needed glasses until the school wrote home, and then I will totally admit I was dismissive of, because he just had the big E chart at the doctor's office not that long ago, and I thought, well, it was fine there. Dismissed it. When he got his glasses, I don't think you could have paid him to part with the glasses, because he needed the fucking glasses.
Right.
And there was no convincing him to wear them. They have been on his face for probably a good 10 years and only come off when he's sleeping. And even then, sometimes questionable if he falls asleep doing something.
Teenage boys.
Anyway, that's
so yeah,
my initial take.
So I agree with you. Where I disagreed is he overreacting? No, he's not overreacting. His reaction, his strong, intense, visceral reaction to his parenting being undermined by his mother-in-law, by his child's, by his wife's mother is yeah, she should not be doing that.
She should not. So the emotional reaction,
right,
we're in agreement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, he asked,
right.
Am I overreacting? His emotional reaction is completely
right.
on point here. If I take my kid to the doctor and the doctor prescribes a treatment and I provide that treatment to my child, my in-laws or my own parents, it's not an in-law, like they don't get to countermand my parenting in that case.
Right.
And if I'm being harmful, if they think I'm being harmful, they should come to me as the parent and say, you're harming your kiddo, and this is why I think you're harming. That would be a caring, loving thing to do. But to go behind my back or my partner's back and then do something nefarious like hiding my kid's glasses, like
prescription. Let's just say hiding my child's prescription.
You hear stories like this.
I disagree. Your kid doesn't have strep throat. I'm just going to hide the prescription.
I've heard stories like that. I've heard stories like this. Oh, my dad didn't think my kid really had asthma, so they took away their inhaler. Like, oh my God. Like, you hear stories like this. This is terrible. That is terrible.
Okay? I absolutely agree. We are in agreement.
Where I agree with you is, and where I don't. I'm just pausing here so I can catch my breath, and Michael can edit that out. Sorry, Michael. Um, your other point, though, is spot on. There isn't a need to make another doctor's appointment. If they're not convinced by the first doctor's appointment, they're not going to be convinced by the second doctor's appointment. This is a chance to sit down with he and his partner to sit down and talk about it. She may have a differing view, and he needs to listen to her differing view, and they need to have a conversation about how they're going to parent this child and how they're going to set that boundary around the glasses with the child and with her mom. But
Right.
but as far as the intensity of his reaction, no, he's spot on.
So I would say the differentiation where we both sort of jumped to that knee jerk, response was we are in agreement that the emotional reaction
Yeah.
of this poster is very appropriate. The behavioral reaction, the decision to act on that emotion and the choices this parent is attempting to make are the problematic piece of this. And I think often we say the poster is asking the wrong question because the emotion is often appropriate, but the outcome is not. And this is a really great way to draw that bright line for people. So when we think about being in a situation where you're emotionally charged and have that high intensity reaction, we start to question, is this appropriate? Very often the answer is, of course it is. It's appropriate to be upset, angry, charged, whatever. It's what do you do with that
Right.
with that emotion? That's
Yes.
where anger becomes problematic, not as an emotion itself, but because we choose to act on that in ways that hurt yourself or other people.
Absolutely.
That's the bright line. And so
I
this is an opportunity to just remind people that's the difference.
Sure. And I sometimes say that anger is my favorite emotion. And it's because nothing good in the world, no major positive change happened unless someone got angry and demanded rights, demanded whatever. Also, nothing terrible happened unless someone got angry and did something terrible. So the anger itself isn't good or bad. It's what we choose to do with it. And so many times you hear people justifying their behavior. Well, they made me angry. Therefore, I got to. Well, no, your anger is justified. Your anger may be rational. That doesn't, it's then like, what do you then choose to do with that anger becomes the question. And we stop at, well, he has every right to do, he got angry or she got angry. No, anger doesn't justify something.
And I think the problem is they made me angry, then assumes that that other person handed you the anger. And so you're just going to give it back to them as if it's owned by them. The
Right.
reality is the anger is yours. It's always been yours. They didn't make you or give you anything. It generated within you because you actually care about XYZ. So keep it, hold on to it, and then use it for good and change, not hurt and harm.
Yeah. So was the OP in this situation justified in being angry? Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely. And anger
Without a
comes from
doubt.
the underlying thought they shouldn't have done this. And in
Right.
this case, the underlying thought is sometimes it's not valid. Like they had a right to. In this case, he thought she shouldn't have done that, and she shouldn't have done that.
Correct.
So we can agree that his anger is valid. He then gets to choose to sit down and have a conversation with his wife, to assert his parent, to have had the two of them, to assert their being parents, and all sorts of other things. He chose to do something that wasn't the best choice. Now, I will say that if the wife or the mother-in-law had said, I don't believe that doctor to be accurate, and here's why, and they had good reasoning behind it, it may be very reasonable to say, hey, let's get a second opinion. I don't think we necessarily have to accept, in fact, I don't think we should accept every doctor's opinion, just like, boom, okay, a doctor said it, therefore I believe it. Sometimes we do want to question whether there's accuracy to that. And sometimes we want to get a second opinion on things, and that's legit. This case, he's not looking for a second opinion. He's looking for I'll show them.
Vindication. Yeah.
Vindication. Thank you.
Yes, he is absolutely looking for vindication.
And vindication isn't the reason to seek a second opinion. There's something about this that's wonky that I don't think is accurate. It can maybe an opportunity for second opinion. Sure.
Right. But given the fact that he had such a strong prescription for most of his life and his older child has a significant prescription, I don't doubt that this kid has a, whatever we said, a 1.6. And I agree with you. I don't usually hear it in increments that detailed and specific.
Ophthalmologist. If you're
Maybe.
listening,
Yeah.
I'm in on this.
Correct us.
1.6
But Yeah, I mean, but right, but the likelihood of glasses wearers, if anyone, well, you can't see, the other Dr. MacBride on screen, but he is wearing a fairly significant prescription. I have a bit of a prescription, and two of
Hmm.
our one of our two children have a prescription, right? That's not surprising. Actually, it's sort of surprising that the youngest doesn't have one yet.
Yet.
So, like, all things being equal, I guess what I'm saying is it's not a surprise that this person's child has a need for glasses. Why is this seeming to be a surprise to the wife and
Yeah,
the
and
mother?
I also like I really struggle with this feedback. Like we're talking about third party characters here. This mother-in-law, um, I'm not going to agree with everything my kids do as parents. I'm sure. None of my kids are parents yet. But I can say with near 100% certainty that one of my kids will parent in a way that I don't approve. Um, Outside of something really egregious, I don't get to, I certainly don't get to tell them they have to do it my way.
Right.
If they're looking for feedback or opinions, I'm certainly not going to hold back my opinions. If I think they're being harmful, I might say something, but it's still as a grandparent, hypothetical grandparent at this point, I don't get to dictate my grandchildren's medical care. Certainly not to the point of like I'm pretty pissed at this mom. This is I mean she's she's the asshole here for sure. In my
Oh,
in my
yeah,
opinion, she's she
yeah,
she he didn't ask, is she the asshole? But you hide your grandkids' glasses in order to prevent them from wearing them because you don't think they need them. You're out of line. You're
yeah,
way out of line there.
yeah. Even if you
Um,
are in a position of being granny nanny and you are around all the time,
doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. You don't
Doesn't
get to
matter.
do that. You are a caretaker, but you are not a parent. She has
No,
overstepped by a lot, in my
by a lot.
opinion.
By a
Yeah.
lot.
And
And
unfortunately, we see this, and I've certainly seen this. You probably have too, Dan, where someone will come into our office as a grandparent and really kind of assert their rights and their role and kind of demand. And I'm often put in, I shouldn't say often, but I have been put in this position of having to help them walk that backward and shift that perspective, because as grandparents you don't have legal rights until they're given to you by the legal system. That just because your child has a child doesn't give you, doesn't imbue you with rights around that child. They're still a
yeah, yeah,
grandchild.
yeah. And this is one of those. I'm not happy with anyone's behavior here. I'm not happy with.
Other
I'm
than
not
the
ready to
child.
call. I'm not ready to call mom and dad assholes. I certainly called grandma one. But yeah, the child's fine. But the parents' behavior here, like mom siding with her mom and starting to take the glasses away and discourage the kid. Dad making another appointment for vindictiveness. Like no one here is smelling like a rose.
Yeah. No.
Everyone's got some problems at
And
varying
I'm
levels.
willing to bet this is not the only thing they argue this way about. This kid is caught in the
Yes.
crosshairs, but this is absolutely a pattern for this couple. And I do wonder how often this mother-in-law is revving up her daughter on the
Hmm.
other side and just mixing that pot.
Yeah, I was when I thank you for bringing us back to that because I had that thought when Michael was reading this, like
Mhm.
this ain't their first rodeo with conflict, and
No.
and this couple needs a better template for
Ooh.
resolving. I know I'm using
Yes.
McBridean terms. This is definitely a Gale
Hmm.
term. No, this couple needs a better template for resolving this conflict.
Right.
Moms are resolving it by just openly disagreeing with dad and
Mhm.
discouraging what dad's doing. Dad's just resolving it by seeking vindication from a third party and by trying to enforce his rules, even though mom doesn't want to enforce his rules. Like no one here is sitting their mom and dad aren't sitting down and saying, how are we going to work out this difference that we have and figure this out together for our child?
Even more problematically, I
Hmm.
think the pattern starts to show up earlier than that.
Oh,
Dad gets feedback. Hey, your kid needs glasses. Dad goes ahead, does a parenting move, schedules an appointment, executes the
oh,
appointment, which wasn't like in 24 hours. I mean, that doesn't happen, right? This is booked weeks, if not
No, no.
months
I
out.
just made an
And
appointment. I just
he
made an
does
eye doctor
not
appointment. It was
come
2 months
back
out.
to talk to the other parent to say, by the way, our kid is in need of glasses and I made an appointment. So
I'm
he has held on to this information for some amount of time, taken the child, then ordered glasses. Like, where does his mother get to know about this?
as I hear it. Thank you for pointing that out, Gail. Because as I hear this, I'm thinking I can't imagine a situation in which I or my wife would make an appointment. It would necessarily be weeks out or months out, maybe. Then order glasses. You gotta, we get them.
That's at least a week, if not two.
That's a week, or go to the and then get the glasses. And then the first time I find out about them is when the kid's wearing glasses. Like I'd be
Right.
like, I'm sure that if I did that, my wife would be like, what? And vice versa. We'd be like,
And it might lend to the unbelievability of
yeah,
the said treatment. Like, what do you
yeah,
mean? Where did this come from? Why didn't I know about it?
it,
Maybe he
it,
doesn't really need them if you didn't tell me. Are they just,
yeah. It,
disguise glasses?
and it's not like one of those things like I would feel like, oh, I have to tell my partner. It's more like I can't imagine not. Oh, I got this letter home from school. Did you get that letter from? Oh, yeah, the teacher thinks the kid needs glasses. Oh my gosh, really? Like this would be a conversation. Like, where is their communication that they didn't talk about this? That it didn't come up at all for weeks or months? That's
Which is
right.
part of the lack of template, right? You get
There's a
into this
disconnect
kind
here.
of argument because you don't have a template up front to talk about these kinds of things.
There's a disconnect here.
Yeah.
That and it's not even in the you should have. It's in the why. This is the sort of thing that couples talk about. Like,
Right.
not because you have to tell me, but just because it's going to come up.
And so let's massage the facts a moment, right? He talks about this other parent as his partner. So clearly they're living together, they're building a life together, but let's assume a world in which they're not. They had a child 10 years ago and now they live separately. They're no
Mm,
longer partnering, but they are still
mm,
co parenting this child. There is no world in which you have a child shared that has a diagnosis, as long as both parents have
mm,
custody, right?
mm.
Where you wouldn't share that diagnosis. And by the way, Junior needs to go in
Absolutely.
for glasses. I've got the appointment handled. I'll
Absolutely.
let you know what they say. That happens in co parenting. And if it's not, we have a problem.
Right. No, you're right. There, whether this is and even if this is a situation where it's a parent where it's dad and step parent, um, it's still going to come up.
Well, right,
Like
because
you're
the
going to
step parent
mention it
needs to
because step parent is
support.
step parent is parenting.
Right.
So there's no situation in which I'm struggling to find a situation in which this being a surprise to the partner
Right.
is okay.
Right, because even if said partner, I've come to sometimes, you have an adult who has a child and they repartner with someone other than that child's um,
Yeah.
other parent. That new partner sometimes doesn't want a parenting role, right? And we
Mm,
try to navigate this,
mm,
which, okay, fine. Like, I didn't want kids. I don't want to parent your kid.
yeah.
There's stuff going on.
Yeah.
They have another parent. I'm going to stay out. So I've started calling these TAFs, or trusted adult friends, right? So I can be in your life. I'm going to be a trusted adult friend,
Okay.
understanding that there are going to be some household things that we discuss and navigate because I'm living with your
Hmm.
dad, and
Hmm.
right, and I'm another adult in your world. I can't imagine, even in that role as a TAF,
Right.
why wouldn't you then share? Because
Yeah.
the issue's going to come around. This 10-year-old needs to wear his glasses.
Yeah.
So
No, this
just so
is
you know, little Joey got glasses, and he's going to be wearing those because the doctor says, hey, he's got a developing, nearsighted.
there are bigger issues
Yeah,
here than just this, and
yeah,
you're really correct
yeah.
in pointing out this is not just about this situation. This is almost certainly a bigger a one of many of a bigger set of issues that this couple has around communication that I'm hoping they choose to work on if they are, and I'm not diagnosing anything here, by the way, but if these communication problems are as bad as they appear to be, it seems like they could use some help somewhere.
Yes.
If that's not crossing an official line, no, I'm not making a recommendation.
No, no, we would we do see some problematic patterns here
Yeah.
that definitely would be appropriate to address
want to
in
address.
a
And we do a lot of work with people who, like, not every couples therapy is about a mental health diagnosis. Some couples therapies around, we would like to communicate better around this
Right.
issue or set of
we're
issues
improving process.
where we're struggling with. And this is a couple that could potentially, it sounds like from the description given, it sounds like the couple could potentially benefit from a bit of like, how do we communicate better and relate information back and forth. So
Yeah.
Michael, okay, wait, do we have a judgment then? So mother-in-law, asshole.
Asshole.
Partner? OP and OP's partner, there are problems there.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say asshole yet, but there are problems in behavior there that I'm unhappy about.
What do you think of partners mildly dickish?
Yeah.
I think at least
think
mildly
both of them.
dickish.
I think both of them are.
Maybe, and then I was going to say, OP sucks. I don't. No, I'm going to go mildly dickish. I think
I'm not
holding the pattern, the entire pattern. I'm going to go at least mildly dickish, mostly because there's an underlying undercurrent of a problem here that the two adults are not addressing.
Right, and then this poor kiddo is just trapped in between these folks, and that like they're not the asshole, obviously.
No.
Michael, what did the internet
say?
Well, so the internet really got hung up on the idea of withholding medical aid from a child being abuse. And so they said, you're not the asshole for standing up for your child. Like, that was
accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate. We're in agreement there.
Yep.
Then they also...
Now, the problem is they are in disagreement about the diagnosis. So it would also be considered abuse to allow a parent to administer a treatment that was unnecessary.
Could be considered abuse. We don't want to...
Right. Could be. So in the cases where there is a question, you bring in a neutral third party, and that's what Child Protective Services can help with. If we went that far, we would ask them to help resolve this, because if it was considered abuse or abusive.
Yeah.
You don't need to be certain. Is all the point I was making, was you don't need to be certain to bring them in. They will help you.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
You are not supposed to judge that. You allow someone else to. Anyway, sorry. That was a little bit of a squirrel tangent, but important.
Oh, that's great. The other thing that they talked about was how life-changing glasses can be, and how you don't realize what you're missing when you don't have them. Like, this is just the world as far as you're concerned. And so many people weighed in and said, like, I remember, and it was funny how many people had this as a memory, which was, I remember looking at a tree and realizing, oh, there's leaves on that. Like, it's made up of smaller pieces, not just one big blob. And so many people said that. I was like, oh my gosh.
No, I remember getting glasses. I actually had this really clear memory of my parents. And I think I remember it because of the way it was introduced. Danny, do you have something to tell us? I'm like, what? No, like, we got a letter from your teacher. I'm like, you got a letter from my teacher? I'm like, are you having trouble seeing the blackboard? I'm like, what?
Wow.
That's funny, no.
I'm just sharing my childhood trauma here. But I will say that, like, when I do remember the magical moment of getting glasses for the first time in the third grade and being like, oh, wow. Oh, so yeah.
It's funny. I got glasses first when I was probably about 14, 16, something like that. But I was a middle school girl. I must have been in middle school. I must have been like closer to 14. And I remember not wanting to wear them. And so I didn't for a long time. And because I think the correction was kind of mild, or I'd wear them when I was driving, but that was kind of it. And then I was in college, and I thought, I've got this physics professor, and he just could not, for the life of him, write clearly on the board. And I would sit, relatively close. And I remember finally going in and getting contacts, actually. Then I didn't have to wear the glasses, and I got contacts. And I went into the physics classes my freshman year. And I looked at the board, and all of a sudden his handwriting just had improved like 10,000%. Wow. It was so clear.
Wow. His handwriting.
Lines on the chalkboard.
No, gosh, I tell you that it really is. They really are life
They
changing.
are.
Get
Yeah.
glasses when you need them. It's just
Mhm.
absolutely astonishing, and so like, yeah, wow. So
Anyway,
there's all sorts of good reasons. What? So what else did the internet have to say? We got to get
Sure,
sidetracked on our glasses stories here.
no, that's all right. There definitely were people who were saying that he was the asshole, and they really were like, this whole post and your stance is just about standing up to your mother-in-law. Like, fucking shut up. Like,
Mhm.
you can go about this in a way that is more productive and really, has your child's interest at heart versus just wanting to show your mother-in-law up. And you call up the fact that she's an eye nurse, and I'm sure that you want to undermine her for whatever reason. Like, there were lots of conversations like
Mhm.
that.
Okay,
um,
correct.
there were others that said you're the asshole for essentially like letting this drag on. Like, you should have intervened immediately. Like, your child needs you. Why'd you wait so long? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. So,
Okay.
and then there were kind of fun conversations about glasses strength one-upsmanship, where, one person would be like, I'm a 2.25, and somebody else would be like, well, that's nothing. Like, I'm a 5.4. And apparently those round numbers are called mid-index numbers, and they have more to do with the width of the glasses or the thickness of the glasses, not necessarily. Anyway, so
oh,
I'm sure
all
the
right.
etymologists will come on and correct us and tell us those things, but lots of people talked about that. And then, of course, there was also the conversation about like, free medical coverage and why the system in the U.S. is messed up, and how
Well, they're
kids
not
in the
wrong.
UK or Spain or Australia get them for free and all that stuff. And so, but
Yeah.
yep.
I was a minus 4.5 before correction,
Wow.
before surgery. Yeah. Minus 4.5. I will tell you, it's really hard to see at that level, just in case anyone's curious.
My eyeglass story was, I remember as a kid always being able to read the license plates on cars. And when we were traveling, I would be able to see them from far away, further than my parents. And then at some point I lost that. And I remember kind of being aware that I had lost that power and thinking like, oh, that was just something when I was younger. I don't have that ability anymore. Like, it didn't make the connection to needing glasses, and then
Awesome.
kind of like Gail said, I got glasses, and then suddenly, oh my god, I could see the stuff on the chalkboard again.
Mhm. Yeah.
Track a falcon on a cloudy day.
Yeah. Spotting dimes. Anyway, thank you both for another riveting debate or glimpse. Yeah, glimpse into the collective conscious of the internet forums. Remember, morality is often shades of gray and not just glasses or not.
We can see this one pretty clearly, Michael.
Stop.
Oh, you're my favorite. All right, please follow and share Veritas Views, the podcast platforms with your neighbors and friends. And as always, stick around through the credits for the bonus conversation about, oh yeah, I have the question today. See you on the other side of the credits.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael MacBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. MacBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's the bonus conversation. So, Dan, this weekend, my children and I repaired something on our car, and the side mirror came off due to me which
Came off.
came off. It
Came
was,
off.
you know,
Side mirrors usually come off with some sort of blunt force trauma.
yeah, it
Not so
had
much
a.
blunt force.
Like you did something. It didn't just let's
did.
not
It was
use
a
passive
it was a
voice here.
collaborative effort.
Well, let's not use passive voice.
Okay,
Car
I
side
accept
mirrors
full responsibility for
don't come
removing the
off.
side mirror.
To be fair, you are not the asshole, Michael. This was a collaborative effort.
I didn't say he was an asshole. I just said that like I just
No.
objected to the use of the third party of the passive voice of it came off. All right.
I mean, to be fair, so we have a pulley system.
All right.
Let me finish.
I interrupted your story. Please tell the story.
The pulley system that we use to reasonably lower the bikes to create some room in our garage. Well, that rope got wrapped around the mirror with the assistance of the children in the household, not necessarily all our children.
I'm not.
And then said adult backed the vehicle out of the driveway or out of the garage, not knowing that the rope was wrapped around the mirror until it went ka-chunk.
It was
So
a
that's the
collaborative
backstory. Anyway.
That's a long way to get to really what I wanted to ask you, which was, so we shopped around to try to figure out how to replace it. And ultimately I bought a thing on eBay, watched a video that was 20 minutes long. And then in 10 minutes, I had the new mirror installed on my vehicle, and it was amazing. And it made me think of that. I can't remember what company it was, but there was an ad campaign, The Real Men of Genius, where it was like, let's celebrate, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, like, we need to celebrate these people who make these YouTube videos that show you how to fix things. Because, like, I don't know. So I was curious, like, what was the most obscure thing you found that helped you in household repair or in your life? Like, I'm just curious.
No, it was a car repair video. So I once owned I don't own it anymore. I had this a Fiat 500, and the Fiat 500 is notorious for having lots of little fiddly things break on it. I love the car, and there's a little metal piece inside the door latch. And getting to it means you have to take apart a whole bunch of stuff to get there. And the piece costs $6 and I found this YouTube video where this fellow in England told me how to take apart the door essentially to replace this little fiddly latch. And it saved me all sorts of time, effort, and money. And it was kind of fun. But I love those. Like, shout out to that guy who didn't get that many views, but more views than he should have gotten because the damn latch shouldn't break on a production car. But there you go.
Yeah. Gail, what about you? I mean, I know some of them, obviously, because we've done household repairs together, but I'm curious if there's something that stood out to you on YouTube that you learned.
Hold on. I just got to pause here. You just like buried the lead on something, Michael. The fact that a husband and wife can do a household repair together on a regular basis speaks to a high quality marriage. Good communication. That's impressive. That's a brag. That's like he just threw that in there. That is like the classic humble brag. Oh yeah, my wife and I we're doing some household repairs together, like we always do. That's like such a humble brag. Come on.
And maybe. And I'll back it up and I'll say, Michael and I just celebrated 23 years of marriage. And over the course of the 23 years, I will acknowledge we have worked really hard to work together on projects. This is not just something that we happened by and that occurred naturally. This was something we put effort into because we do enjoy being collaborative on these things, but it was not always pretty. Now it's much better. Michael, you referred to the ad campaign of Real Men of Genius. By the way, that was Bud Light. So I'm sorry to tell you that was Bud Light that has stuck with you all of these years. And as for your question, what is something that I've learned from YouTube? Honestly, guys, I hate to give you kind of the girl answer. It's probably less of a home repair and it's probably way more craft or maybe fix it things, like really sort of stretch ways of thinking about how to repair something in the home. And nothing in particular stands out, But if something breaks, my kids bring it to me because mom will have a way to kind of MacGyver this thing back together into working. Why buy the new one when we can fix it? And no one thing stands out. It's just because I watch enough of these that then I, kind of cross apply some of the things I've seen. So it's probably kind of a not very great answer, because it's kind of too high level, and I don't
We'll accept it.
being put on the spot. I just don't have a great idea.
I'll throw one more out there, which is my favorite hack in Word, which is Shift F3. So you select text, Shift F3 will cycle between all caps, all lowercase, and then proper upper and lowercase. And you can just kind of flip through those as you need it, which is fantastic. So
Now you tell me.
Can I throw in a bonus conversation?
Sure.
Michael, I'm going to turn the tables on you. What's going on the 9th of September? Please tell us.
Yes, I'll be in hometown Saline, Michigan. I am going there to launch my book. So I have a novel coming out called At the Wake. And it's a multi-generational family drama is how I think about it. Lots of stories that are being told in it. And my cousin Francine, who I love chatting with, she's going to be interviewing me. So if you happen to be in southeastern Michigan, come see us on the 9th. This will definitely air before then. So that'll be out there.
I was kind of hoping so. I'm really excited for this book launch. The 9th is the first day that it officially comes out, but you can pre-order it, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And we'll include a link there as well. I always like going through the independent bookstores, so I'll include the fine print bookstore, which is where I'm doing the event at as well. So, but yeah, thanks for asking. Thanks everyone else for tuning in. Tune in next week for a whole nother Am I the Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.